Welcome to our children's story channel. Here is Little Red Riding Hood story. Once upon a time, there was a lovely little girl who always wore a red hood, so everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother said to her, "Little Red Riding Hood, your grandmother is ill. Could you please take this basket of food to her?" Little Red Riding Hood agreed, and her mother reminded her, "Remember, don't talk to strangers on the way, and stay on the path." Little Red Riding Hood entered the forest, happily picking flowers along the way. Soon, she met a big bad wolf. The wolf smiled and asked, "Little Red Riding Hood, where are you going?" Innocently, Little Red Riding Hood replied, "I'm going to visit my sick grandmother and bring her some food." The wolf, having an idea, pretended to be concerned and said, "Why don't you pick some flowers for your grandmother? She would be very happy." Little Red Riding Hood thought it was a good idea and started picking flowers. While Little Red Riding Hood was picking flowers, the big bad wolf quickly ran to the grandmother's house. He knocked on the door and imitated Little Red Riding Hood's voice, saying, "Grandmother, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I brought you some food." Grandmother let him in, and the wolf immediately jumped onto the bed and swallowed her whole. He then put on her clothes and lay in bed, waiting for Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood finally arrived at her grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Grandmother, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I brought you some food." The wolf, pretending to be weak, said, "Come in, my child." Little Red Riding Hood entered and found that her grandmother looked a bit strange. "Grandmother, what big ears you have. The better to hear you with, my child." "Grandmother, what big eyes you have. The better to see you with, my child." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have. The better to eat you with." With that, the wolf jumped out of bed, intending to swallow Little Red Riding Hood. She screamed for help in fear. Fortunately, a passing hunter heard Little Red Riding Hood's cries. He rushed into the house, saw the big bad wolf, and immediately killed it with his axe. The hunter cut open the wolf's belly and rescued the grandmother. Both grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood were very grateful for the hunter's help. From then on, Little Red Riding Hood remembered her mother's advice and never talked to strangers or left the path. She lived happily ever after with her grandmother and mother. Children, this is the story of Little Red Riding Hood. We hope you learn from this tale to never trust strangers and always listen to your parents' advice to protect yourself.
Hit the like button if you found this useful.